Okay, so I'd like to follow up just how to establish your soil foundation and how this is done to take IMO that you put into the soil and to get all your bang for your buck, to get it activated in your soil, to get your plants going, to get the whole system kick-started. Because we learned earlier it's all about microorganisms. And what I'm going to teach you here is that it's all about food. When you feed things good food, good things appear. And this is, in natural farming, these are the things we use. This is the maintenance solution. So I think in James's research here, there was nothing done to the plant. It was all based off of soil amendment. So I want to bring in this big part of natural farming that is an aspect to it, that this is our replacement for fertilizer. Because these methods and these acronyms that I have up here are all made from sugar. Your starting material is sugar. And we make all these things. So the main thing, you guys, or since I have new people here today, how many people are familiar with these acronyms up here? I have OHN, FPJ, and BRV. Nobody's familiar with any of those.
Sweet. I think you should reintroduce them.
So what I'm trying to do here is just to show a little segment of natural farming. This is a segment from a larger presentation which would go into these. And I encourage you to search on the internet. All these exist from publications with CGNF, published by the university, of how to make these inputs. So when we take our IMO and we put it into the soil, typically with natural farming we include Oriental herbal nutrient, which this is a tincture. So there's plenty of ancient knowledge on these. But this comes from cinnamon, garlic, licorice, angelica, and ginger. Yeah, and it tastes really good. It's amazing for human health. You can use it all the time and you don't build up resistance to it. So it's a constant use medicine that just keeps your environment happy. The way it's working primarily is it's oxidating your environment. So when you provide oxygen, things stay healthy and for humans. So we can, in our mixture, we include OHN, which is those tinctured herbs here. That functions as a medicine. We combine that with a fermented plant juice. And I encourage you to come next month here because I think we'll do fermented plant juice again as our recipe. Because this is one of the primary fundamentals of everything that you look at, although I'm not going to be here, so someone else is going to do it. Maybe December. I'll be in Korea. But the next time I'm here for a meeting, we'll do fermented plant juice because this, any weed you have around, many people think they start natural farming and or you start farming and you don't know where to start, right? You're like, well, I want to get a garden, but where do I start? And so what this enables you to do with this recipe here, the fermented plant juice, is to take every weed that's already growing, to concentrate it, to pull out the stuff that's making it grow, and then you can apply it like an ointment back to your damaged land, which would be like if you tilled your land, it's like ripping a scab off and you have this open wound. So you can take these scabs that are coming back, concentrate them down, make them into an ointment, and then rub it on your land. And as that happens, those microbes start to proliferate out. And then we get a living soil foundation. So FPJ is an ointment that acts as a food for repairing our land. And then we combine that with brown rice vinegar, which you can also make from bananas here very easily. The recipe's online, super easy to make. And what the vinegar does is to help the whole system. So any of the nutrients that might have been not dissolved and soluble, when you include this brown rice vinegar, it solubilizes the nutrients for those microorganisms to take up, dissolves things for them so they can take those minerals up. So when we set our soil foundation, we include medicine, we include food, and we include an agent to help them lower the pH as they get into the soil via the vinegar and dissolve nutrients to get in there. So this is a very critical establishment step to then water this on to your IMO for the next, 4 weeks. So that month. So once a week, like pick a day and water it for the next 4 weeks once you put your IMOs out. So in natural farming, we're also putting microbes and we're also feeding them and establishing them into the soil. And you want to get a functioning ecosystem. That's what natural farming is about. These are recipes and formulas to get you a functioning ecosystem, and then you as a farmer want to step out of the way as much as possible. But get the good guys there, feed them well, get them established, and let them do the work for you. So this was the recipe I wanted to talk about here. Was just in general, this is the mainstay of the natural farmer. I know certain natural farmers that are really successful with IMO in the soil. I know many more that are more successful just spraying this weekly. Because doing the soil process, like James was talking about, it takes time. You got to do this. You got to be super precise. If it goes over a certain temperature for a certain time, you ruin your batch. These are foolproof. Anyone can do them. You can spray anytime. And when you start feeding your soil, the guys that are already there start activating. Just like we're here right now. If all of a sudden we had all this food and all the resources we need, we'd start, being more active and innovative as opposed to we're starved and we're just hanging on for life. So when we feed them, the natural guys swing into action. That's what indigenous part is. You had a better word than it was.
Authentatious?
Authentatious. Too hard to say, but
it's spelled funny too.
But this is the main thing. And so here we're, I don't want to take too much of your time. We're already at 8 o'clock, so you're free to go at this point. Thank you for coming. But if you do want to hang around, I got a little bit more of showing you. And this would be the way in natural farming that if we were to set up a soil foundation and I was to do it, this is what, and I had all the resources at my disposal. This is the way I would do it, is I would make IMO 4 the right way. And I would take 1,200 pounds per acre and I would put it out there. And if you look at that, it looks like a light dusting everywhere. The ground is covered with dust. The 1,200 pounds to your acre, you dusted your entire ground. So you've taken this life and you put it all over your entire ground. Then I would incorporate functionalized char, which is biochar that's been biologically activated. So it's charcoal, biologically activated. I put that in there. I would then put the mulch and the wood chips, like James was talking about the organic matter being that contributing factor. If you're going to try to kickstart your system and go from zero, like this table, to rich earth, I'm going to have to put some nutrients on it. If I got another tree here next to me and another tree in this system, I don't necessarily have to put as many wood chips. But if I'm coming into a bare situation, putting some wood chips there helps it establish, right? So organic matter helps. And then once I put those things out there, I would take this spray here, which is those 3 things I've talked about already, plus a different microorganism which helps to establish microbes, lactic acid bacteria, plus fish amino acid, which is concentrated fish that there's probably a Krishna approved version of that somewhere. I don't know exactly. But fish is the fuel for it all, right? And as Krishnas, you must love the LAB because this is the whey. So I should just call it whey for that audience here. This is whey. Then we include calcium phosphate, which I think we're lacking phosphates or something. The IMO tie that up. So if you add it in a water-soluble form, that enables the microbes to get structure into your soil and help to flocculate it a little bit. And especially also the seawater. Every single person can afford seawater. And if you go gather it from the ocean and dilute it 1 to 30, it's the same salinity as your blood. So you're not salting your land by putting seawater once you've diluted it 1 to 30. And this puts all the trace nutrients and minerals, everything that's washed into the ocean, you bring it back to the land, physically puts the nutrient, like the nutrients back on the land. But the saline microbes are much different than freshwater microbes. Those are the 2 main groups of microbes, is saltwater and freshwater. And when you take the saltwater guys from the ocean and you bring them up like to Hawaiian Acres or someplace where the ocean water never gets, and you put them there, the freshwater microbes in your soil see these new saltwater microbes and they're like, wow, I've never seen you before. And when they reproduce together, they make the craziest diversity. so you can synergistically revitalize these microorganisms that may be like tired out. They're like, I already dated her, you know, like she's no good, you know. And you bring all these sudden these C ones up, and they're like, whoa, did you see her? Oh man, I'm gonna check her, you know. And it reinvigorates the reproduction and life cycle between them. You know, sometimes go swim in the ocean. It's good for you. But this would be like the ultimate way. That if you did this is like if we scientifically experimented on this and figured out some way to control, where we could get a control that like soil the size of this room that was sterilized, that then I could do this, so then I would have a big enough area to see the effect of my natural farming. Because in a bag, you only got those nutrients. But here, what if there's a nutrient over there at the counter, which there is, food. Now I can get over there and reach it, right? And so bringing all that, the life, everything together, and expanding that range for the microbes to reach nutrients is important for this. So this is what I wanted to give you. These are formulas. I know we got a fair amount of new people here tonight, so to go over how we make these, I'll try to repeat. We're just about to hit a new year and come through, and I went through majority of these recipes, and they're online as videos, but each time I do it, I learn something new, and it's always fun to do. I recommend coming and learning with someone who knows what they're doing, because seeing it and knowing it correctly can save you years of doing what you thought was correct. And it's all about taste, touch, feel of that. I cannot tell you, oh, it tastes like bacon. You're like, well, how? Like some of us don't even know what bacon tastes like, right? So for me to describe those things, but if I say, here, this is how it's supposed to taste, and I give it to you and you taste it, then you know. And so coming here, learning how to make these things, they're super simple. You can do it all at home with just brown sugar. But that's what I wanted to give you tonight. Invite you to come back. We meet here every second Tuesday. And I did have a few announcements that I wanted to finish before we head out of here. So the first one is mine, because I just want to get it done with. Is that I got this is Jamaican hibiscus. And it makes the red zinger, red hibiscus iced tea. Take the leaves or the flowers and put them in, and makes a really good iced tea. You can just snap a branch off from here, stick it in the ground, and it'll start growing. It's a really hardcore plant. The second plant I brought is this guy. It's a tree spinach. Again, also stick this in the ground, it starts growing. These leaves are edible when you cook them. They're really pretty tasty in a stew. Those are my two announcements of cuttings. I'd like to offer these over here for first come, first serve, and be gentle up plate. Yeah, so next announcement.
And I have an announcement also on the plant line. Over there in that little yogurt container are cuttings of, it's a giant oregano. And the leaves are there also, so if you want to check out the leaves, but go ahead and just take the cuttings, stick it in the ground, and I hope all of you can grow this oregano. It's amazing. It's really tasty.
And that's a good ground cover. If you're thinking of what you want to go under things, the oregano is great. Yes?
On the table, I brought goat's milk, raw goat's milk, and whey from making the cheese that was with the pineapple, the chev cheese. So the whey is LAB.
So put 4 milliliters per gallon.
Yeah. Well, okay. And
Whey's the yellow one, the milk is the white one?
right.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. So.
Yeah, and so and what I want to say on this list is, if you got whey, don't wait for the rest of the things. Start spraying whey at the correct rate, and it's going to help your microbiology. So if you got a bunch of whey at your farm, start diluting it properly and putting it out there. It's only going to get better when you start adding foods and medicines and all these other things in. But whey is going to be the biggest catalyst to getting our soils to break down.
Hi everyone, we'll bring a new natural food theory in Pahoa next to the lava shack, a little service window. Hookah's hole in the wall, and we're looking for suppliers of all kinds of stuff. So if you want to get my contact information or give me yours, it'd be great.
Yeah. Any other announcements? Usually I start with this, but tonight we'll end with this.
I have a question.
Hang on.
This Sunday is Johanna Native Forest Restoration down in Lower Puno. It's the only lowland native rainforest that's still intact, between 1,000 feet and under. It's right by Black Sand subdivision for those of you that are familiar with Puno. And if you're on Facebook, you can just go in and type in Johanna and it will tell you. If you want to know more, you can ask me. But it will be from 10 to 4 this Sunday. And what we're doing is we're taking out invasive species and replanting native species. And so for those of you that are not familiar with Hawaii, it's a beautiful way to get familiar by going into our native forest and helping Marama that forest. It's also our watershed for Lower Puno. So it's our way to give back to the earth that gives back to us. So please come if any of you feel inspired.
When you're getting seawater, where is the best place to get it? At the
ocean.
mouth of the river?
It's in the ocean.
Or, no, I'm specifying within the ocean? Where
Send me a time.
Where the waves break, or way deep in the ocean when you ride that?
There's a question asked on where's the best to get seawater. There's two theories on this. One, if you gather it from the surface of the water, the top inch or so of water that you gather is going to be filled with sea microbes because they kind of live on the surface up there. If you want to get a lot of minerals, however, go get the deeper water. You want to get it, where it's aerated, it's splashing against the shore, and the top it's going to be filled with microbes.
You want to talk about brackish water?
Nah, I kind of want to wrap it up tonight, but mahalo, I will expand on that. I want to let people get home, and I want to thank you all for coming out. Please spread the word, bring more people. This is cool, right? Thanks.